Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and those betwixt. My name is Connor. Welcome to my studio in my house. Here I am to report on the progress of my senior project, which, as a reminder, is an EP recorded onto cassette and a music video to go with the title track. I'd be lying if I said that progress was going extremely consistent and exactly on schedule. I should have expected a lot of it got compressed into just the last few weeks, but as of right now I have the EP pretty much fully tracked, recorded, mixed. The last thing I have to do is just master it and copy it onto other cassettes. But I think that this is a nice time to just talk about my process doing this all, because when the hell else am I ever going to be able to talk about this? As you may know, recording music can be difficult. Not too long ago, really the only thing that you could feasibly get like a good fidelity recording out of if you wanted to record from your home was something like this, which is a 4-track cassette recorder. Now, I didn't do this just to cause pain to myself, though it has been pretty stressful. The more I've been working on this, the more I've understood why it is that I want to be pursuing this. And, well, the guy who sold me a bunch of random cassette tapes on Craigslist in our hour-long discussion outside of a 7-Eleven said it best. The medium is the message. That's a quote from Marshall McLuhan, sorry. I wasn't familiar until he told me. And I'm sure that means something important. I didn't look it up, but I resonated with that, you know. Operating on this medium has been very interesting and formative of the music that I've been making. So, start off with just the conceptual level. So there's 4 tracks, and they're all mono, and you write onto them, and once they're written onto them, you can re-record it, you can erase it and make it blank, but you can't add anything to it unless you do some weird stuff. But I didn't feel like doing weird stuff, so 4 tracks, and then you're out of tracks. Immediately I started thinking about what the most efficient instrumentation for what I want to do is. At least what are the fundamental things that I want to have on these 4 tracks until I can do some mixing, and we'll talk about it later. But yeah, so 4 tracks, but I'm making, rock music, which has got drums, bass, guitar, and vocals. And drums in itself in the modern recording age are recorded with 4, 5 microphones, and they're all different tracks, stereo, panned, all which ways, but that's just incredibly inefficient for something like this. So, and a single mic drum kit doesn't sound the best unless you have a really good mic and have it placed well. So, already, the medium has dictated that I would be best fit to record something like a drum machine. So that's what I did. Beyond that was the bass and guitar, and that was pretty standard. Just DI'd the bass and the guitars. I went to the studio 203 and mic'd it up just like you normally would, but I plugged it into this mixer here, Mackie Pro, whatever the hell, and it was fine. One thing though, which just it really illustrates the frustration of this all, is that I brought all my gear to the studio down from where I live, which is like 30 minutes away. I recorded everything like the drums and bass, at home. Just went to the studio to record guitars for 6 hours. The very first thing that I did was record over the drum track on accident for an entire song. I meant to record track 3, but it had track 1 running as well. So all the drum parts for that song got lost, and I did it all at home, so there was no putting it back. There was no syncing it up later because tape is fluid, doesn't work like that, So I just ruined the entire 6-hour session, essentially, because I just had to go home and re-record it. So it's stuff like that that has just made this process like a really fun, you know? So I have drums, bass, and 2 guitar tracks recorded at this point. And if you've been counting, that is all the tracks. So the only thing to do from here is there's 2 methods. The most simple method is before you even record the 4th track, you just set the 4th track to record the previous 3 tracks, and it'll sum them all down onto the 4th track into a mono recording. I could have done that and then opened up 3 more tracks onto the cassette recorder, if that makes sense. I hope that does. But it would all be mono, and that's just not what I'm going for. I want some sort of cool spatial processing to happen. So the only other thing you could do is take the output, the stereo output of the cassette recorder, send it to another cassette recorder that takes stereo input, and sum it down onto a new cassette. And then once you plug it back into the cassette recorder, you'll have a left and right stereo channel in the first 2 tracks, and then 2 tracks opened up. So that's what I did. I bought another cassette recorder and sent it in, and it came out. And there's a lot of quality loss in that process, but I tried my best to minimize it. I got specialty tapes just to make sure the fidelity is like as lossless as possible. And so now I have 2 stereo tracks, and I've opened up 2 more tracks for vocals, which is the next most important thing. And once again, pretty simple tracking wise and just getting it on there. But another thing I should mention is just that overdubbing is not easy. There is a distance physically between the erase head that erases the tape before you start recording that leaves a good half second of your take just silent. So overdubbing is not usually an option unless you can find a part in that take that's silent, so you can just punch in. So it made things difficult. Most things I had to do in like 1 or 2 takes unless I could find a place to just punch in. That's kind of a limitation of this cassette recorder specifically. There's other ones that I think you can punch in a lot easier. But anyways, vocals done, guitar's done. I should have mentioned before this, before I want to mix down anything, I also want to make sure that I get some panning and EQ, gain staging, and maybe some spatial effects in, because once I sum everything down, it's all baked together. So, and there's nothing I can do to individually mix or produce any of those tracks. So I got to do it beforehand, before the vocals, which is definitely a bad thing to do because I want to know what the vocals sound like with the rest of the mix before I actually mix it, but I just had to take a leap of faith. So I did some panning, some EQ, compression, and all the works. I used the space echo in room 269 because I thought that was pretty fitting. It's a tape echo. I'll show some of that here. Tape delay. As you can see there, it's just a bunch of loose tape being fed through. The signal is output into a record head here, and it's read on another read head out over here somewhere. Where's my finger? Yeah. And that is super, super cool. Okay. I can change some things here. Let's slapback kind of stuff. Let's try reverb and echo. How about with the bass?
think that's awesome.
Yeah, so I got all those effects together, and now that I have that, I summed it onto the cassette recorder. So what I had was a left and right stereo channel on the 2 tracks that is completely mixed and processed, and now we're at the stage where I can record vocals on top of all that. So, yeah, now we're at the point, I've done some more effects and processing and stuff. We're at the point where I've got 4 songs that are fully mixed, tracked, you know, whatever, and I'm pretty happy with it. It's been a very beautiful and stressful process, but the fidelity is better than I expected. The process of just working with the medium to create the music has been very interesting, very rewarding, and I'm very happy I did it. The next steps, I don't know if I'll be as happy to do, but I've signed up for it, so it is week 8 by now, and I am quite behind. I do not have the music video done. I do not have it started. I have the storyboard, and I've coordinated with people who are all ready to do some recording, but I need to make props. I need to, we need to shoot the video. I need to edit it. It's going to be a process, a very probably rushed one, and well, I hope I can make it. That's all I'll say about that. I hope you guys enjoyed this catch-up about what I've been up to, because it's interesting, and I hope anyone finds this kind of cool and maybe is inspired to try working on this as well. Thanks. I'll see y'all in 2 weeks.